How to make a strategic plan a living document. Many of us have engaged in strategic planning processes. We've invested so much time and energy, and then all of a sudden we turn around a few months or even years later and go, oh my gosh, we're not using it. It's collecting dust on a shelf. How do we make sure that doesn't happen this time around? A lot of it has to do with the planning process itself. So I would say we cannot discount the facilitation, the conversations, and all of those things. But today I'm going to focus really on the content in your document. When thinking about formatting and content in your document, I encourage you to think about a progression of thoughts. So, our strategic planning process is we pose the question and we say, our team, here's a strategic planning process. This is what we did to get to from point A to point Z. So, we give an executive summary or an overview of the process at the beginning of the document. We give the organizational history, but then we go into a series of focused questions and we capture the question asked in each of the strategic planning sessions exactly as it was framed. It might be, what do we want to see in place in the next 3 to 5 years as a result of our actions? It might be, what are some of the barriers that are standing in our way? Whatever the question that was posed in the group, I highly encourage you to include that in the plan so that anyone reading it in the future knows what is the content below addressing? What question is it addressing? A lot of times we just put a title, and sometimes that title doesn't accurately represent the question or the content that was covered in the session. The next thing I encourage you to consider is your formatting. I have regularly reviewed documents for organizations that are 300 pages long. The longer they are, the less likely people will use them as an active tool. When Funding for Good created our template, we began thinking, okay, what would I want as an executive director? How can I use this with my team? For me, that means I need charts. I need color coded content, right? I want something my board members can pick up their first day on the board and say, okay, let me glean through this and get some background, not only on the organization, but what are our goals moving forward. Our plans also have a chart for a 1 year kind of timeline for the first year of implementation. So if you are looking at planning for a document that's going to be adaptable, I encourage you to think of your goals and break those into goal areas. Because when they're all jumbled together, it gets really easy to say, this is no longer relevant. But when you break them up and say, here's one particular goal area, here's a second goal area, a third area, typically we see anywhere from 3 to 5 goal areas in a strategic plan. And underneath those goal areas, we have what we call SMART goals. Those goals are specific, measurable, action driven, realistic, relevant, and timely. If we have the goal area and we know this is what we're talking about, and then we have the SMART goals underneath each of those, it's easier to digest and dissect and adapt as needed. Once we've got those goal areas, we've got our measurable specific goals. We map those out on a calendar and we literally break them into quarters. So I want you to think about breaking your content out and saying, this is the calendar. And that way, every single time you look at it, you can say, are we on track? Are we not? And if you're able to do that, there's a higher chance that you're going to keep it in front of you and that it's going to guide your work beyond just that first few weeks when you're excited about the plan. So again, think about formatting, color codes, charts, things that you can adapt. Your document needs to be easily editable by the plan monitors or anyone else working on it.